Ladies and gentlemen, I am the son of a houseboy who worked for American soldiers. My father was 16 when the Korean War broke out. He helped the soldiers with shining their shoes, doing their laundry, and cleaning. In doing so, my father learned English, and he was my hero. I dreamed of speaking English as well as he did. If my father saw me speaking today, he would be so proud of me. We all know of the American dream. In Korea, we also have the Korean dream. We call it a dragon rising up from the ditch. Growing up, we did not even have the bathroom in the house. Despite such difficult circumstances, I worked extremely hard and became a dragon out of the ditch. While my father was alive, I was his pride and joy. I graduated from South Korea's Ivy League Yonsei University and joined the major South Korean broadcasting network, KBS. I was Washington, D.C. correspondent and the main evening news anchor. I was the Korean version of Tom Brokaw or Peter Jennings. Following my career as a journalist, I was the presidential spokesperson for former President Park Geun-hye, and after that, I was elected to the National Assembly. So, what am I doing here? On April 15th last year, I lost in the general election. Just like President Trump, my loss was due to election fraud. I have since been fighting diligently against election fraud in South Korea. However, I was ignored by the leftist government, the mainstream media, and the judiciary, all dominated by current President Moon Jae-in. So last September, I came to DC and I engaged the American media, government, and the international community regarding the truth of election fraud. I even held a one-man protest in front of the White House, the Capitol, and at the United Nations headquarters to expose what happened in Korea. I warned, be aware or be next. I predicted that the November 3rd US presidential election would have strange statistics and that Communist China would be involved in the election fraud. These predictions all came true. How could I do that? Because similar things happened in South Korea and to my own self in my district of Incheon. It was planned by leftists. Electronic voting machines were manipulated. CCP intervened. And early voting and mail-in ballots were manipulated as well. There's overwhelming evidence of election fraud. But let me share with you one thing from my district. There were 3 candidates in my district, including myself. And the ratio of ballot cast for in-district and out-of-district early voting for all 3 candidates were the same, 0.39. What are the odds? A famous South Korean statistician said that this is like throwing 1,000 coins in the air and all of them landing on the same side. Another eminent professor said that it was either God's work or it was fraud. Election fraud is the biggest threat to democracy. Many South Koreans were shocked that it had happened in the US. And we hoped that justice would be served for President Trump and the truth will prevail. However, it did not happen. I was sorry and the Korean patriots were sorry. But let's not be disheartened. Let's work together. During the Korean War, General Douglas MacArthur saved South Korea with Operation Chromite or the Incheon landing. Democracy was saved and I'm grateful. 70 years after the Korean War, the democracies of South Korea and the US are again facing a threat due to election fraud. In order to solve this problem, an active collaboration between conservatives in the two nations is very much needed. Operation Chromite's odds of success were 5,000 to 1 against. Our efforts to expose election fraud and to defend democracy might be more difficult, but we cannot stop now. The memorial for Operation Chromite is in the district I represent, 연수구-을 인천. I don't think this is a coincidence. The seeds of freedom planted by General MacArthur 70 years ago in Incheon grew in my father's heart and mind, and that made me fight for freedom. The son of a humble American soldier's houseboy now shouts, "Let's go together in this fight to preserve freedom and democracy."